2 full days and counting, and wildfires throughout California continue to burn. The death toll is now at 17. At least 180 people have been injured and more than 2,000 homes and businesses destroyed. The fires, primarily in Northern California wine country, are already billed as among the deadliest in the state's history. CBS's Greg Mills is in Santa Rosa, California with the latest.
It's been more than 48 hours, and wildfires still continue to burn out of control in Northern California.
This is nowhere near over. It is still very dangerous.
First responders and elected officials held a public community meeting at Santa Rosa High School. Residents eager to return to their houses were asked to remain patient.
We want you back in your home sooner than later, but we got to keep everybody alive first and everybody safe first, and all of our resources are on that, evacuation, moving people out.
Those who were able to return home are often finding what David Leal did. Very little left. He's now living out of his car.
It's been hard to see what we've built and put into the place, and now it's reduced to what you see here.
In addition to all the personal devastation the fires have caused, there's also the destruction it has done and continues to do to the lifeblood of this region, the wine industry. One Napa County trade group says at least 5 of its wineries have been destroyed or seriously damaged. Todd Coffey had a vineyard in his backyard.
We're back here today for the first time to just see what was left, if anything, and really it's just, it's as you can see, devastation. There's nothing left.
The wine industry in Sonoma and Napa Valley employs more than 50,000 people. Greg Mills, CBS News, Santa Rosa, California.
Federal aid is on the way to the region. The White House announced it has approved Governor Jerry Brown's request for a major disaster declaration in California. Well, just 1 week into retirement, some Missoula-based firefighting tanker planes are now on their way to help fight the fires in California. Neptune Aviation, based in Missoula, says its Tanker 7 and Tanker 14 aircrafts are being reactivated to help. Just last week, the company held a retirement celebration for its prop-driven P2 tankers. In local news, a woman was found dead in her West End home yesterday, days after a fire ignited inside of the house. The woman was found Tuesday afternoon in her home on the 3500 block of Lynn Avenue. The woman never showed up to a weekly breakfast with friends on Sunday morning. Police were called to perform a welfare check, and that's when the woman's body was discovered. While the fire is still under investigation, authorities say the fire likely extinguished on its own, possibly from a lack of oxygen. The woman's name has not been released, but we do know she was in her 50s. Authorities say that foul play is not suspected. Billings Deputy Fire Marshal Jeff McCullough says the fire caused $75,000 in damages, including heavy smoke damage throughout the home. 3 cats also died in the blaze. Well, it's only October, and the Southern Madison Range has already claimed its first life of the ski season. The Gallatin County Sheriff's Office says 23-year-old Igny Perkins was killed by an avalanche on Saturday. She was skiing with her boyfriend, 27-year-old Hayden Kennedy, in the Southern Madison Range around the 10,000-foot level when the two of them were hit by the slide. Perkins was buried by the avalanche, while Kennedy was only partially buried and was able to hike out to get help. In a statement on Tuesday, Kennedy's family said he was so overcome with grief over the loss of Perkins that he took his own life. Kennedy was a Colorado native who was well known for his climbing expeditions. In court news, a former employee of the Boys and Girls Club of Yellowstone County stands accused of exposing himself to a teenage boy he met at the club. 22-year-old Matthew Huggard appeared in Justice Court on Tuesday and was charged with 1 count of felony indecent exposure. The 13-year-old boy told Billings police he had known Huggard for about a year and a half. Court documents state the boy began receiving counseling for depression from Huggard's father at the therapist's home. That's where Matthew Huggard would play Xbox with the boy, wrestle, and play sports. The boy reported Huggard recently exposed himself to him and made inappropriate sexual comments. Huggard was fired from the club for violating policies regarding visitation with club members and gift giving. He is not in police custody. Yellowstone County District Court Judge Russell Fagg heard his last case on Tuesday before hanging up his robe this coming Friday. Q2's Asia Gore sat down with the judge to take a look back and find out what's next.
Reflecting on his 22 years of work, Judge Russell Fagg estimates he's presided over 25,000 cases, but one stands out in his memory. The year, 1996. The defendant, 17-year-old Hino Gonzalez.
He killed a Quickway clerk, and it was all recorded, and he had already gotten the money. All he had to do was leave, and you see him pull the trigger, and the safety's on. So then you see him flip the safety and pull the trigger and shoot the Quickway clerk for absolutely no reason. I sentenced him to life in prison, and it was one of the hardest things, if not the hardest thing I've ever done.
The Gonzalez case was one of the first major crimes to come through Fagg's courtroom, but it certainly wasn't the last. Fagg says he's had a passion for serving justice as long as he can remember.
I was a middle child, and I was sort of the one that settled disputes, it seemed like, within our family, and it just seemed like a natural progression. I liked being a lawyer, but when I saw a judge who, frankly, I didn't think was doing that good of a job, and I was just a very young man, but I thought, I'm going to give it a shot.
Since he won that race, Fagg says he's fought to uphold the law and do right by the people of Yellowstone County. But now he may be eyeing the Senate race.
I think I'm in a really unique place to know how to model policy to move our country in a better direction. And second, I really feel like I'm a negotiator. I'm trying to look for a win-win situation. I like to work with people from different backgrounds. I think I'd be able to work with both parties.
As a Republican, Fagg says he'd push to lower the nation's debt and, with Montana in mind, push for alternatives to prison for drug users. As he hangs up his robe, Fagg says he may be done on the bench, but he hopes he's not done serving Montanans. In Billings, I'm Asia Gore, MTN News.
Fagg says he plans to open up his own law firm. He will reveal the results of his exploratory committee on this Saturday. Now on to election news. Even though it's more than a year away, things are already heating up in the 2018 race for Montana's only U.S. House seat. MTN's chief political reporter Mike Dennison has the story.
Montana's only congressman, Republican Greg Gianforte, took office just 4 months ago after a special election in May and is running for re-election next year. Potential Democratic opponents aren't wasting any time getting their campaigns up and running. This week, Billings attorney John Heenan reported raising $325,000 for his 2-month-old campaign, including $100,000 of his own money.
I'm not a politician, and so when you run for office, you don't know how it's going to go. It's like having a party, and you don't know if people are going to show up, and people are showing up, and it's really exciting. There's just been tremendous enthusiasm, and so it's wonderful.
And former Land Trust Director Grant Keir of Missoula says his campaign raised $192,000 in just under 3 weeks in September.
I think people know that I'm in this race because I believe in Montanans' ability to come together and solve problems, and they're demonstrating that they believe in me and my message on that front. So I do believe that we can sustain this pace and that people are going to continue to support us.
Heenan and Keir probably aren't the only Democrats hoping to take on Gianforte in 2018. State Representative Tom Woods of Bozeman has scheduled a campaign kickoff event this Thursday at the Baxter Hotel in downtown Bozeman. Heenan says he'll be putting plenty of miles on his vehicle as he travels the state to introduce himself to voters.
I have a track record of standing up to powerful companies and powerful special interests and winning, and I intend to bring the same formula that I've used as a prosecutor and a trial lawyer on behalf of the state of Montana and the people of Montana to represent them and only them and their best interests.
And Keir says he thinks Democrats are fired up about the House race, which they haven't won in more than 20 years.
We feel like we have a good opportunity to win this seat, and I feel like we are excited about the candidates that we're bringing forward, and I'm proud to be in that group.
Gianforte will be filing his campaign finance report this weekend. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Democrats will choose their nominee for the race in a primary election next June. Meanwhile, in Glacier National Park, for the first time ever, visitation has topped 3 million people. The park was able to reach the milestone despite wildfires that shut down the western side of the park. The park was already well on pace to set a new record earlier this summer. For the first time in Glacier's history, more than 1 million people entered the park's gates in July alone. That was a jump of more than 23%. Park visits continued strong in August, but then much of the west side of the park, including the popular Going to the Sun Road, was closed after a wildfire broke out in September. But even with the drop, visits through the east side entrance remained strong, and there are still 2 months to add to the total. Last year, the 2015 record was also broken by the end of September. The state of Montana is set to collect taxes on nearly $19 million in annual medical marijuana sales. That estimate, which was just released yesterday, adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars in tax revenue. Q2's Dustin Kleeman spoke with the Department of Revenue on the expected financial impact to the state.
Medical marijuana is making money for the state as providers begin submitting a 4% gross sales tax. The Department of Revenue expects the state will collect $750,000 in the first year of SB 333. Due to administrative and startup costs to the new bill, the general fund will only see a fraction of that money.
After you factor in the startup costs for the systems for both departments, you're down to only about $30,000 net impact to the general fund.
Those costs include computer systems, cash intake locations, seed-to-sale tracking, ID cards, just to name a few. And there are also administrative costs in the Department of Health and Human Services. The second year of the tax, which will be lowered to only 2%, it will generate a net for the state of $300,000 for the general fund.
Our state budget is hurting unless we start generating some additional revenues, and so this is an opportunity to do that.
While it's a drop in the bucket for the state, it's still a source of revenue that could grow. In Billings, I'm Dustin Kleeman, MTN News.
Thanks, Dustin. And taking a closer look at the numbers, there are about 12,000 medical marijuana patients. Each patient spends roughly $1,500 per year on medical marijuana. Of these 600 registered providers, the Department of Revenue has only received 46 returns before the October 15th deadline. In other news, 2 local veterans were officially honored for their service. Senator John Tester honored World War II veteran George Wright from Laurel and Gerald Zelmer, a Vietnam vet from Bismarck, North Dakota. Both men were enlisted in the Army during the respective wars. On Tuesday, decades after their service, they were able to join with family and friends as they received numerous medals for their service.
These are great men that serve our country and sacrifice every day, and they're surrounded by great families that sacrifice while they're in theater. And then they come back and they help make this country great domestically. So these are great people that I am put in a position to make sure that we set the record straight and they're given the commendations that they've earned.
Senator Tester has given hundreds of medals to Montana veterans as a thank you for their service. Stick with us.